Now, you all know that I am no fan of clutter, but one area that we can all struggle with is the pantry and the fridge and the freezer. Now, these areas can get a little dicey. Now, I have a new challenge for you. Let's declutter all of that extra food. Now, if this is your first time here, my name is Robyn. I help overwhelmed people simplify their lives through organization, productivity, and creating an environment where they can thrive. Now, grab your tea and let's go. I think that post-Christmas, there are often a lot of things left over. There's a lot of food in various places. And like many people, we actually have a fridge and 2 freezers and a pantry. So these things are full of food. You may or may not have a lot of food, but just give this a watch anyway, because I've got some great tips for you. There can even be a lot of things left over from the rest of the year. Maybe things you bought in the fall or the spring or whatever. So it is now time to do a pantry/freezer challenge. No shopping for a month. Do you want to join me? I bet you do. Food clutter can be a major problem. We buy food, forget about it, then we buy more food, and we end up with a whack of clutter. And then we have to declutter a bunch of outdated or spoiled food. That's not good. That is just not good. This is my fridge and freezer. I know it seems like a weird setup. It's like a full fridge and a stand-up freezer. This is just how the house came. A lot of people say, wow, look at your fridge. And I'm like, no, it's a fridge and a freezer. The thing is, we really need to get an inventory of the things that we have before we can declutter. So I want you to grab a piece of paper, or actually a pad of paper, and you need to make a list of everywhere that you have food. I am going to write down everything I have in both freezers. I'm not going to write down like all the spices I have in the pantry or all of the condiments, but when I go through the fridge, I'm going to look at the condiments and be like, do I use this condiment? Because one of the most important things is that we are going to use up the extra food that we have. To use up the extra food that you have, you need to know and you need to plan, and then we're gonna get into a bit of meal planning at the end. But let's get to the freezer. Yikes, I like to keep the fridge a whole lot more organized than this. But over time and several Costco trips, this has gotten kind of full. Now, if we look at the door here, I have got a lot of frozen fruit. This is not a good spot to keep these things because the door, in particular with upright freezers, they're open and close. A lot of heat, or a lot of heat goes in, and a lot of cold goes out. But like, look at these cherries that I got from a friend when I was making kombucha. Lovely. They're not pitted, so I'm going to do my best to find recipes and ways to eat pretty much all of the food. So, I mean, maybe like a compote or some kind of tart or something for this, but I'm just gonna get down to making my list and declutter some of the stuff in here. I do have some biscotti that I made at Christmas, which were super fun to make, and they're okay. They're not super sweet. I don't think I would again, but these will be good. When I have people coming by, I will be putting these out and being like, have more tea, eat this biscotti. My family love taquitos, and we have like open bags, 3 open bags, a Ziploc bag with some taquitos in there. So this is why inventory is so important, because we really need to know what we are dealing with. I have some garlic scape, a shoot, like a thing that comes up from a garlic. It's actually like a flower stalk, and it's delicious. It's so good to make like eggs and things like that. But the problem is that these are dried out and old. So there are certain things that I'm not going to keep, especially if it hasn't aged well. So I feel good about that. I have a few more, like this is like some kind of candy I made at Christmas. So we will definitely be eating as much of that as possible. And I will get into the recipes in just a second. Now that things have settled down, I think it's a great time to really tackle getting my pantry, my fridge, and my freezer under control. I am starting a challenge for the month of February, and I will host it in my Facebook group. And I will even have some pages that you can print off to inventory your stuff, plan your meals, and even with some food and recipe ideas. So head over to learn.minimalisthome.ca/pantry to sign up, and it is going to be so fun. My past participants can tell you that my challenges are always fun, and I think that the best part is the Facebook group because we can share our challenges and wins. We can also maybe share some recipes, and I mean, things might get kind of weird as things go further along, but I will get to that in a second. Okay, so this is my fridge. I have a lot of condiments. I love cooking, and I love cooking all sorts of foods like Asian foods and Latin foods and things like that. We have a 6-pack of beer that we opened and had like one of at Christmas because we had people come visit and I wanted to be prepared, but we aren't big drinkers. I don't need to keep this in here, so I'm just going to stick it out in the garage. It's a little disorganized. Like the fridge is a bit messy. I have to admit, I'm not going to take a ton of responsibility for this because I was away. But there are some things that need to be gone through. So I'm going to go through things. I'm going to write down my inventory. Okay, so it's not as cut and dry as not buying food for a month. So let's get over some kind of like ground rules, some ideas. Here is how I recommend doing this. But as always, you do what works for you. Now, I will not be buying any meat, canned goods, or dry goods for as long as possible. At first, the only thing I plan to buy from the store will be dairy and maybe a few perishable items that we need for optimal health, such as blueberries, because I like to have blueberries because they help prevent dementia and they're just a really, really nutritious food and they're good for everybody. So I just bought a big box from the store because they are something that I try to eat every day. But overall, I am trying not to buy much, not to buy really any frozen stuff, and just, you know, the odd thing of milk because I have a child who is like obsessed with it, and maybe like coffee cream. Now at first you will see I have a lot and I really don't need to buy much at all. We have plenty of frozen vegetables right now. We have some fresh stuff in the fridge and some canned items as well, but I will get into the rest in a bit. But first, we need to look at the inventory, and I will recommend that you do this anytime. Only spend like 30 minutes making it or making your list, and then just wear whatever you want, pajamas, you know, you do the thing. I was wearing workout clothes. I hate shooting in this pantry. The lighting is terrible, but it's even a little bit messy too. Normally what I do is I come through about once a week and I just straighten things up. I make sure that I have like everything in the right sections. And I usually do that right before I do my weekly shop on Saturdays because I take my son to work. And so I drive, that's when I get my groceries because he works at a store. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come through here. I'm going to make my list, my inventory of all of the things that I have in here. And once I have all of these inventories, it will be much easier for me to get an idea of what I am dealing with. One thing I maybe didn't mention is that I am not going to write all of this stuff down in one day. What I'm going to do is just spend half an hour at a time because I don't believe in ever making anything like a crazy chore. And so I'm guessing that it is going to take more than half an hour to go through all of these areas and write stuff down. Like in here, for example, I have a lot of like baked goods, and I have flour and oats and almond flour, things like that. So what I'm going to do, because almond flour isn't going to last long, like almond flour it's got an oil in it, so it's not stable for long. So I don't want it to go bad. I don't want to waste it. So what I'm going to do is like find some good recipes for that. And I want you guys letting me know in the comments some of your favorite recipes to use with like pantry items. Not necessarily almond flour, but you can. When you're doing like a big clean out, what are some of your favorite recipes? Like bubble and squeak, or is it shashuka? I think that's what it's called. Like there are a lot of things. Like stir fry is always a great one for like vegetables and things, but let's all share. And also you can share the weirdest thing that you have found. Okay, we are in the garage and this is my deep freeze. And it has all sorts of things in it. And I can't believe how much food we have. So I am really glad that we are doing this challenge. So in here I have got 2 whole chickens, there is a turkey, 2 packs of ribs, which is great. Wait till I get to the meal planning section. You're gonna be like, oh boy. Okay, so like there's a side of salmon in here. This is great. We're gonna be eating like kings for a week or 2, and then things might get a little bit iffy. So the whole point of this challenge is like you can save money with the decluttering, but the other thing is it is also about like recognizing where maybe we've overbought, And then just being better at meal planning. Like I try to be really good at meal planning. I check to see that I have ingredients, but I think that sometimes, it's probably those days where we're like really tired, where we say like, you know what, let's make this a takeout night, or let's just have grilled cheese. And then some of those meals that we've bought for kind of tend to go to the wayside. And that is how we end up with like a side of salmon. Like I do tend to like to buy like an extra turkey when they're on sale because they're just so good to have. And they were like so many great leftovers and things like that. I just don't like to have like a deep freeze absolutely full of food that has just been sitting there so long that is starting to get freezer burnt. I just think that's terrible. Now that I have shown you this section, let's get to the meal planning. So when I was making my list, I decided I didn't actually want to write them all down. It was actually easier just to dictate into my phone because there was a lot of stuff in there. And then I could put it on email it to my iPad and then just make lists that way. It was so much easier. And now it's time for meal planning. So I love meal planning. And I usually don't actually even end up with extra stuff. I think it just sort of happens over time that we might end up tired one night and we're like, you know what, let's just have grilled cheese. Or maybe we're just going to do takeout or something like that. So that is sort of how I think sometimes food gets left over. I know that is how it happens with us, and that's how we end up slowly over like a year getting more and more stuff stuck in the fridge. So I have some cookbooks here, and these are really more for inspiration because I don't want to be running out to grab ingredients to complete every meal that I find from the cookbook. So my goal really is to use up what we have. And now I want the meals to be delicious. Like I love Half-Baked Harvest. Such good recipes, and usually like they're really healthy. Of course I open to the cinnamon rolls page, and you know what? I think I have all the ingredients for this. Cajun fries, and you can use like potatoes or sweet potatoes or whatever. Like I can use that stuff up. The Half-Baked Harvest. I grabbed my Pioneer one more. I just got this one. This one's a little hit and miss, but you do need some sort of like prepared ingredients, so we'll see. But really, like it's all about just using what you have on hand and sort of substituting what you can. Sometimes if you don't kind of know what is a good idea of what to substitute with, you can Google it, and if you have those things, then that's good. Like yesterday, I made some muffins from some old bananas because I was like, I need to use up these bananas. They're way too soft to even put in the freezer because I do freeze some for my protein shakes. But I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna make some bananas. Why the heck not? So I did that, and they were yummy. And this is another one. It's called Yum and Yummer. It's really good. She does a lot of plant-based things, but not exclusively. And I really like her stuff. And I will link all of these in my shop if you want, like just the Amazon shop. But we have some salmon that needs to be used up, and we have like a bit of cream cheese left in the fridge, which is really awesome. So like maybe I'll like try to make bagels. That might be a fun thing. Like it doesn't have to be a chore being like, we're gonna use up all of this food and it's not gonna be good. I just took out the turkey. It's going to take days to thaw, but we're gonna have turkey in the middle of the week in January because why the heck not? Now, I am so glad that I have a lot of flour because I may need to bake a lot of things. Another thing you do is like lots of pizzas, right? You don't necessarily need to have pizza sauce. If you do have canned tomatoes, that's great. If not, you can just use like olive oil. That can be so good. Now, in the beginning, it is always way easier, but I don't want to compromise eating like healthy and decent meals. So as the weeks go on, we may need to supplement things, maybe buying like a couple of vegetables or whatever. But at first, I think that we will be able to make pretty much all of our meals come from the stuff from the freezer and from the pantry. And then maybe in a few weeks, I might need to supplement with like the odd vegetable or something from the grocery store. But I plan on using at least 75% of the meal ingredients from my stockpile. I might buy the odd like aromatic ingredient like lemons because they just make things taste better. Like that is okay. And so once you make your list, I want you to decide some meals that you can make. So like I said, stir fries are good. Lots of pasta meals. If you have pasta, you can do all sorts of fun things. If you sign up at minimalisthome.ca/pantry, then I will email you a couple of recipe meal ideas that you can do as well. But overall, I think this is going to be really fun, and I hope that you join me. This is a video I did about cleaning up the kitchen, and I think you will like that. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, friend. Bye.